Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Rise of the False Gods. This is the study book, the group book study on my book, The Rise of the False Gods, How to Get Transformation Through Illumination. As we awaken and want to grow and mature spiritually, we go from almost a state of darkness to a state of enlightenment. And that's the way that we can grow. Reminds me of a story about a man who decided that he wanted to know the meaning of life. So he heard about this guru that lived high on a mountain. And he climbed up the mountain, and it was such a struggle. And he told the guru, I want to know the secret of life. Can you tell me the secret of life? And the guru said, okay, I will teach you. Here, read this book. And he gave the man a book. And the man read it. And that was after the guru had gone away. He just left him there and he went away. And a week later he came back. And he said, well, have you learned the secret of life? And the man said, no, I didn't understand what this book was even saying. What did it have to do with the secret of life? And the guru had his cane and he picked it up and he whacked the guy over the head with it. He said, here, read this book. I'll be back in another week. And the man read the next book, and the next week, sure enough, guru came back. He said, well, did you learn the secret of life? The man said, no, I still don't get it. And the guru reached up his hand and whacked him on the top of the head and gave him another book and said, read that book. I'll be back. And that happened week after week until the guy had a stack of books that he read and he still didn't know the secret of life. And on this last week, the guru came to him and he said, well, did you learn the secret of life yet? And the man said, no, I still don't get it. And the guru reached up his arm with his stick, and the man reached up his hand and he grabbed that stick. And the guru said, now you have learned the secret of life, to stop the pain. Most of us have pain in our lives, and a lot of the pain we experience in our lives is because we are still stumbling around in ignorance. The goal of my book is to help you stop the pain through enlightenment, through getting out of the dark. You know, I got rid of my nightlight. The light bulb burned out in it and I hadn't gotten a new one. And I find sometimes if I'm walking around in the dark, I tend to stub my foot on something I didn't see. Imagine if you never had to stub your foot, if you never had to make mistakes. Do I still make mistakes? Yes. Do I make as many mistakes as I used to make? Absolutely not. So we're going to continue our study today by kind of getting our toe in the water, about what metaphysics are. This is a book of metaphysics. It has a lot of stories. It has stuff from the Bible. It has a lot of factual data. When I found unity back in 1985, it changed my life. And as I said in the first class, this is not about making anyone, want to go to Unity. Well, you're certainly welcome to go to Unity because the principles work wherever they are. They are universal principles of truth. What does that mean? What does metaphysics mean anyway? Well, the word meta means beyond. And the word physics is the study, it's a branch of science that studies energy, matter, and how their nature works. So metaphysics is about learning about the principles, the causal factors behind what manifests as our lives. And that is where we get the power to change our lives. I'm just going to tilt this a little bit. It's a little too high. There we go. Now I feel better. Okay, so when the man got hit over the head, he was in pain. And when he learned to grab the stick before it hit him, he learned how to stop pain. So the stick on his head, the pain, was an effect. What was it an effect of? It was an effect of him not giving the answer the guru wanted to the guru. But the pain was what taught him. One of the problems we have in life is that we don't always tend to learn from the pain. We don't look for the causal factor behind it. Instead of having a reflect and respond, we usually have a knee-jerk reaction. So you're going to learn by reflecting and responding, not by a knee-jerk. Have you ever said to yourself, why is this happening to me again or again or again? Have you done something that you really knew that probably wasn't a good idea and you did it anyway? Maybe it was spending money. Maybe it was talking out of turn. Maybe this is mine. Still learning it after 75 years. I will let myself get too hungry and then I will eat too much. Now, I'm an intelligent person. I am. And I happen to know that there is a time span between when you eat and are actually full and when your hunger switches off. That's why we shouldn't eat fast. Well, when I wait too long and I get too hungry and I eat too much, get me the Tums. I know this now, but I have to practice it. That's one that I'm still working on. But you know what? I'm still working on it. I know it now. I just have to apply it. See, all the knowledge in the world is not worth anything if we don't apply it. Back in 1985, as I said, when I first found unity, I all of a sudden realized that I was like, oh my gosh, I know how this works now. And for 2 years, I was so in love with it and the teaching, and I studied and studied. And then I went to seminary, and I was in school for 2 years full time, and then I was ordained, and for the past 20 some odd years have been an ordained minister. So in school, in those 2 years I was in seminary, I had the most powerful learning experience ever. I just learned so much, and I loved so much about it. And the day before I was ordained, I stood in line waiting to get my picture taken. You know, our whole class was lined up, and I said to my friend behind me, I don't want to leave. But Spirit said, you have to leave. You have to go and teach this to other people. And now, 25, 30 years later, here I am with the book that is kind of condensation of everything I learned in those 2 years. I mean, what I have to give you in this book is magnificent. And so we start off with the fact that it's metaphysics. You will gain in the what you learn from this book, you will learn how to identify the causes that are bringing suffering into your life, and you will be able to change that. You will be able to send forth new causes that will create new effects that will be far more positive than what you did before. I know this sounds like, oh, woo, that sounds some kind of magic. It's not magic. It's metaphysics. And as we go through this book together, you're going to get exercises about try this and try that and do that, stuff that makes it work. You don't need me. Well, I'd like you to need me. You can just read the book. But I think sometimes I'm one of those learners. I have to talk about it. I have to experiment with it. So, but imagine being able to learn to find out the causes behind the pain and suffering. And, I'm sure you've learned some of the things in your life, like, you've learned maybe how to control your money. So you say like, well, if I know this, why am I not changing? Well, it's because we operate at a very human level of consciousness. We are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And in our unawakened state, we live very much down here in the human realm. Our goal is to rise up and to live in a spiritual, awareness, to live in the world without being of the world. When I say of the world, I mean we look for human solutions to our human problems, and that's not the way that we heal it. We're here to learn. I said that the other day. So we aren't forced to do the right thing. We were given a gift of free will. Why? If we didn't have free will, we would be incapable of learning. Do you understand? So all we would do is we would have these rules, follow this rule, do that, do that, do that. We would have no freedom. We have a free will to do what we want. But if we let our human self run that free will, we are going to try to control things that to get the outcome we want, not necessarily the outcome that is best for our lives. Okay, I remember I was in seminary when I realized I needed glasses. Honest, I didn't realize I didn't need them for a long time. But what I noticed, like by the middle of my first year, was that we would, we sat at tables like desks, and we sat there and studied. And I got to the point where I had to do this. I wouldn't even say, that's funny. And then I would turn around sideways in the desk. So my desk is over here and I'm looking over here so I could hold the book farther. True. Didn't realize I had a problem. I said, well, maybe I'll get my eyes checked. So I got my eyes checked, and sure enough, I needed glasses. The day I went and picked up the glasses, they tried them and everything, and I walked out of the store. I'm walking down the street, and I put the glasses on, and I'm like, oh my God, look at all this stuff I couldn't see before. That's what you're going to feel like as you come to understand how these metaphysical principles are working in your life. What is a principle? It is a form of law. It is it's absolute, eternal, unchanging. It works every time. Let's talk about like the principles of music. We have the scale. Won't sing it. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And so that scale works all the time. If you use that scale with knowledge, you can play beautiful music. If you don't have the knowledge and you just plunk, the principles are there. They're doing their job. Each little thing is hitting the chord that it's supposed to hit, but you're not making music. Why? Because you're not using the principles as they're meant to be used. So in the course of going through this book, you're going to learn how to use these principles. What really helped me to realize how I was staying in lower consciousness is not only in my own life, but in observing others and the ways that we try to use our free will, that it's used by our ego, which is our lower, more human nature, and we try to manipulate through anger or through flattery or maybe through deceit and lies. But that doesn't work because it's not based in truth. Because you yell at someone doesn't mean they are going to abide by what you tell them. You can tell your child for 85 times till you scream at them to go clean their room, and they may eventually go clean their room, but they're not going to really, they'll be more like angry. They won't learn the value of having that clean room. And if they just clean their room and keep it clean, they wouldn't have to go through the argument all the time, you see? So it's a matter of not trying to get our way. I think that's what I was trying to say. We keep trying to get our way with human. We try to solve spiritual problems with human solutions. We are here, as I say, to learn. If you are here to learn, one of the things I am still, even after all these years, I'm working on it, but I'm getting better all the time, and that is self-confidence. I still might be inclined to lose my confidence. Here's an easy way to lose your confidence. You know, you're walking down the street and you're feeling just fine and you're feeling like you're even good looking and everything's wonderful. And then, you know, you trip over that little, the sidewalk's a little uneven and you, well, where did that self-confidence go? You know, like total embarrassment. So that's my cat. And Tishy, usually if she knows I'm doing a video, she wants to come out and be a part of it. I hope she decides to go back to bed. Anyway, she's maybe telling me that's enough for today. So we know we've got a great book we're working with. And what did we learn today? We learned about metaphysics. Meta is beyond. Physics is the science of the natural sciences of understanding matter and energy. So we're living in a world that is full of energy. Energy flows through us. Our emotions are an expression of energy. Think about that. Think about when the last time you felt a surge of joy. Think about when you felt a surge of anger or overwhelming love or laughter. That is energy. So everything in life is energy, and the energy and matter work through spiritual principle. I hope you want to know more about that. And tomorrow in our next session, we're going to learn about true or false. Do we know? I invite you to check it out and find out. Thanks for joining me. God bless you. Oh, Tishy wants to say goodbye. She said now that I was calling attention, and she tells me when I have to go to bed. So, you know, my mother told me when I had to go to bed when I was a kid. Now my cat tells me when to go to bed. Well, I hope you sleep well. I'm going to sleep well. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.